Super Dave here with another Super Dave review. Super Dave here with another exciting Masters of the Universe Chronicles review, and this time movie figures. That's right, we have Ram Man and Fisto. And just take a look at these awesome figures. I believe this is an Amazon exclusive in the sense that you get the 2-pack, and I think that these two are going to come separate too, that can be purchased maybe at Walmart and other retailers, but this is awesome. We have Fisto and Ram Man. Both are in their, the likeness of the actors that are being played them, and that is just so cool. Just take a look at both of these figures. You can see the actors here on the side with the power sword separating them from Skeletor like we've seen in the other Chronicles figure packages. And then there is actual action figure shots with a cool diorama background. And then some posing looking photos there showing you kind of what they'll be able to do with that awesome deluxe articulation that they boast. And then here's a little write-up about Fisto and Ram Man. If you'd like to pause and read that now, you certainly can. But this is beautiful packaging. Still has the varnishing of Master of the Universe on top. Just legalese and the barcode on the bottom. Has a little picture of the two actors there from the film. And I am highly anticipating getting to see the movie in June. It's so exciting, and just hearing some great things. Some people say, well, is it going to measure up or is it a bomb? In my opinion, the fact that they get stuff like this right, and the fact that it has all of the iconic kind of, sweet spots of the figures, including Cringer and Adam, and the power sword the way it's supposed to be, and Castle Grayskull the way it's supposed to be, and Skeletor the way it's supposed to be. I mean, how can this not be a hit? And that's kind of the way I'm going into it. I'm excited about it. I think it's a success already, and I'm certainly supporting it, so hope that you are too. If you're a big Masters of the Universe fan, it's definitely already, just from the trailers, better than the 1987 film, in my opinion, but we'll see, right? And but let's go ahead and break open both of these over here in Eternia and check them out. And first of all, let's take a look at these two awesome movie Chronicle figures. Accessories. And our Ram Man comes with two hand sculpts. He has the weapon holding hands and the balled up fisted hands. He also comes with one head portrait, of course, and then his traditional looking axe, double-bladed axe. And then this is something kind of unique. It's like, and I guess we'll have to wait and see the movie, but it's almost like there's some kind of spring effect, but it almost looks like there's some fat that separates maybe in his legs that is in between the springs. I don't know. But anyway, something that propels him, that stretches forth spring action, whatever. I guess we'll have to wait and see when we watch the movie. But then when it comes to Fisto, we get something that we've never gotten before. We get the power fist open and the power fist fisted. Yes, that's right. And then he also comes, as far as with his left hand, a balled up fist and a weapon handed fist. So this is very interesting. I've always wanted a Fisto with a relaxed hand, and I always felt like, well, maybe they think it's going to look too much like Jitsu, or whatever. But that's okay, because obviously if it's a real functioning hand, he's going to be able to open it. And so I really like the fact that they included that. And then, of course, there's also this cool blue power effect for the punch action. So that is really neat. But that's all his accessories. But Fisto just looks very Fisto. His look, his armor, his clothing, everything. And so I'm really tickled about that. This is kind of what I would imagine a Fisto coming to life looking like. Maybe, you know, the fist and stuff could have been a little bit more exaggerated. We'll just have to wait and see in the movie, but I think this is cool. This is, maybe you put it in the realm of believable, maybe, but anyway, it's looking really good here. And Ram Man, well, he just looks like Ram Man. I think the actor they chose was really, you know, really looks good. I mean, he didn't have like a set look. The Filmation really didn't give him a real good, you know, I don't know, portrait. And Classics, they did the best job so far. But here we have the live action look. And I mean, this looks just like the character in the movie based on the trailer I've seen. And so does this guy. So the likenesses of these actors, you know, they're doing a really good job of these head sculpts. And so as far as the movie, you know, portraits go, I'm very pleased so far. But yeah, these are just looking really phenomenal. And I just think it's awesome that we get these two unique characters from the Masters of the Universe in a 2-pack. All right, let's go ahead now and look at their articulation. All right, bringing our Ram Man on in here a little bit closer. He is just looking phenomenal here. Went ahead and equipped his axe. He holds that well. You see it's kind of like got a bone type head on the butt of it here, like a skeletal head, which is pretty interesting. Really nice looking axe there. He's got his traditional looking like belt buckle type thing and skirt and springy looking legs, green legs. He's got some cool mud on his feet and stuff, so that's interesting. Love the wear and just the overall look of real metal on his outfit that surrounds his head. But looking at his articulation, he's going to be able to look up that much. He's going to be able to look down not a whole lot because of the way girth of all of that is, but trying to decide. Yeah, he still has the neck articulation, but because of that helmet, he's just not looking down completely the best. But he's still going to get some pivot. That's pretty amazing. I don't think we've ever got a Ram Man with head pivot. So bravo, Mattel. You figured out how to do that, right? Of course, he'll be able to look side to side. Let's look how realistic that face sculpt looks. Very impressed with that. And of course, this Ram Man is going to be able to get full 360. It's just going to be a little challenging because of that hard rubber right there, but it will go around. You're just going to have to work on it. But yeah, it's there. And he has the butterfly joint that goes forwards and backwards. He also has a little bit that goes up and down. He is going to be able to strike a full T pose there, as you can see. And he does have double jointed elbows that get full range, completely full range. And see, there's even a part that goes up in there so that covers that. That's really genius. I like that. The only thing I can see that's a little different than He-Man is it looks like that they cut into the bicep a little bit more here than what they did on He-Man and even King Grayskull. So I'm not that fond of that. It's kind of makes this bicep look deformed because this joint just goes so far up inside the bicep, and both him and Fisto look like that. So I'm not sure why. Of course, with the ball joint in the wrist, he's going to be able to get both horizontal, or if you turn it this way, vertical hinge, despite which way, it just depends on which way you turn it. This gauntlet in here, unlike He-Man, is not loose. It's kind of like it was with Men-at-Arms. It's stationary. So Ram Man, you can't slide this and hide that ball joint, but that's still fine. Bicep swivel, I'm not sure if I mentioned that. That works fine here. So you have both the same on both sides here, of course. Let's go on to the diaphragm. We've seen a little limitation here so far in Chronicles with this first diaphragm, and it seems to be about the same here. He just doesn't bend forward very much. Oh, look, this one's kind of popping. Not sure if that's a defect in mine, but you can see how it's separating right here. Yeah, separating right there. I'm not sure. Yeah, it's not going back in, so it must be a QC issue on mine. I can see where it's plugged in, but it needs to go further. But anyway, moving back to the articulation, you can see he's able to crunch forward just a little bit using just the diaphragm, and only able to bend back just a little bit using just the diaphragm. Now, if you add the waist, because you know we have a ball joint in the waist, then he's going to be able to crunch forward that much, and he's going to be able to bend back that much. So that's better. And in that sense, you will be able to get a little bit more looking down too, of course. And so yeah, he's looking good. And of course, he'll be able to go side to side some also. And he will turn both at the diaphragm and at the waist. And it's very loose. So you're going to get, you know, really good range of motion there. And this belt and skirt piece are attached. And I'm not really seeing it shift very much, but I can't tell you. Oh, that one's even, look, I even got a torn skirt. That's unbelievable. But yeah, that's a torn skirt. I didn't do that. So that's interesting. Another QC issue on mine here. Torn skirt. And you wouldn't be able to see that in the package. That's in the back. Now, he still has the drop down method. Goes in and out. Still has double jointed knees. Skirt's going to limit how far back that goes. Goes up a pretty good amount there though. And then you also have boot cut, but you also notice that this pops out, and then you can pop in this extra piece here. And I think that that's supposed to simulate the spring effect here. And so yeah, so he can look like he's springing forward. Boing, boing. You can see the springs here. I mentioned already the dirt on these boots. I'm wondering if that's going to be one of the differences between this figure and maybe the standalone that comes by itself. And I do believe that I've seen that these are going to come by themselves too. We'll go ahead and put the other one on here. Not sure if they have a distinct side that fits or not, because this one don't seem to be plugging in as well as this side did, but I'm not sure. May have them on backwards, but you can see how much taller he is when you put that on. You're like boing, 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 you know, because he's got the ability to ram you. So that's looking really cool there, I think. All right, there we go. I had him on the wrong feet, no wonder. All right, so you have to make sure you have him on the right feet. But yeah, he's not going to be able to get full splits simply because of the skirt stretching there, but still looks good. It's going to be able to go tiptoes about that much, not quite full tiptoes, but far enough. It's going to go up really good. See, it's got the ball joint. It also rotates here, and I didn't mention it, but it also even rotates some up inside this joint of the thigh, just like we've seen in other Chronicles. He gets rockers and a peg hole in the bottom. So really well articulated. It's called deluxe articulation. And so far, it hasn't been very disappointing. I think that there's a few little things, like I do wish that we got a little bit more range with the diaphragm in these figures. Don't think they should have cut into the bicep as much here, but I'm pleased to have a Ram Man that can actually get head pivot. So that's awesome. Now let's look at our Fisto. All right, bring our Fisto on in here. He's looking awesome. And by the way, as you see back here where I've got Ram Man, they are flush now, the springs, so you do have to make sure they're on the right leg, and then they will fit perfectly. But he's looking tall and cool, springing into action over there. But going on to our Fisto here, this guy is just impressive. You remember back in Classics, it was one of the rare finds, so to speak. You had to really look, really hunt for Fisto. And, you know, then it seems like we had plenty of them in Masterverse, to the point that now you can get that New Eternia Fisto, which is one of the really best Fistos ever. We'll see that in comparison here in a minute in the Masterverse series. But just, you know, almost overdone maybe in the sense of being able to find him everywhere, and already people had so many of him from the first wave or second wave. But this guy, he looks so unique, but yet so Fisto. I really like him. Now, I think the actor is not as muscular as he's being portrayed here. I mean, he's muscular, he's more ripped, he's not like bodybuilder look, but I think that they chose a really good actor. I mean, you know, everybody's not going to be like it was in Filmation, where everybody was on steroids looking like, you know, in a sense. But this guy looks really cool. Let's go ahead and look at his head articulation. He's going to be able to look up that much. He's going to be able to look down pretty much till his beard hits all the way. Again, the neck and the head are both on a ball joint, so you're going to be able to get plenty of expressions and pivot there in a premium looking articulated head. And of course, he's going to be able to look left and right, but he's just going to be able to get some really interesting poses. That's really looking nice, and they hide that really well here, even the neck articulation. So it's just really well done, in my opinion. He will get a full T pose, full 360, of course, and yeah, it still hangs up a little bit on this metal type chest armor that's around his head and neck, but still looks good. Biceps swivel, of course. He's got double jointed elbows, which on this side gets about that much range, and then on this side he gets a little bit more range, but that is still excellent. You can see I did equip the balled up fist over here. It's got a little bit of metal on the back and in the strapped on forearm here, but then on this side is not as metallic as I would have liked it, kind of like the He-Man Power Sword, but it has more metallic right there, almost like maybe the control center or the bionics or whatever we're seeing there. But you know, just like all of the hands, if you pop this off, it is a larger ball joint than what we've been seeing, but again, vertical or horizontal, so that is really nice. So you're going to be able to get plenty of range with that open style hand, but really what we want to see is the balled up fisted hand. So let's go ahead and pop that on here. There we go. You see that's going to ball up just like that. Just like so. And he's going to be able to, of course, punch forward, and then you're going to be able to put on this cool piece right here. Not sure which way. Let's see. It may actually, not sure. Hold on just a second. You just have to work on it, but that fist will go up in there. And I remember seeing kind of in the, I don't know, the trailer, almost like that there's some little turbo that shoots from around this fist that allows that fist to supercharge and go even faster toward the opponent and give them a really strong wallop. So I guess that's what this is kind of, you know, obviously illustrating. So that is really cool, but we'll take that off for now. But yeah, this fist will go up in there. I think the hand one will too. And the hand one may even slip in a little easier because there's not the girth of the fist. I don't know, but that's still cool. Now you can still see the little bit of gray at the joint here, and this fist cuff, so to speak, here is not rotational. It's not loose, so it's all built into this forearm, but you can rotate the fist itself, of course. And there's still that butterfly joint up in there, going forward about that much, going back about that much, little bit up and down there. And the same way with this side, bicep swivel, double jointed, and of course horizontal or vertical because of the ball joint. So excellent there. Same issue here with the diaphragm, very limited articulation. It just kind of goes forward that much, back that much. But then if you add the waist ball joint, he's going to be able to go forward that much, bend back that much, only go side to side a slight amount. He does turn at the diaphragm and at the waist, so you're still going to be able to get some range. It just seems to be limited for what we should be able to get from these guys. Trying to decide, it almost feels like there's no, yeah, there is a drop down method, but it's almost like these thick thighs are almost not fitting in this small skirt. So that's a little interesting. So it's almost like it comes already in the drop down method, kinda. So you have to kind of push those back up in there. And but if you pull it out, you do still get some rotation at that thigh. It's going to kick up about that much. He does have double jointed knees, and that is a huge, like almost iron looking knee pad that adds a weird break there, but still gets, you know, good motion. Has a boot cut. He's going to go about that far with that toe, up about that much, not very much, but enough, about the same amount as Ram Man. And then he's going to be able to get rockers with the peg hole in the bottom, and he's got mud on his boots just like Ram Man. So apparently this duo go on a mission together and get kind of muddy, so to speak. So we'll see in the movie. But yeah, these are looking great. I like it, the way his hair is. You have a brown-headed Fisto instead of a red-headed Fisto here. You see how he looks from the back. But everything looks really nice. I didn't mention about the splits, but he almost gets full splits. Again, the skirt limits just a little bit, but he gets plenty. But he just looks really good. I like the way this Fisto looks. I'm impressed with him. All right, now let's do some comparisons. And here is our Ram Man in the New Eternia style Ram Man, who is one of my favorites. I really like this figure. He had some weird kind of squishy parts of his spring action kind of things, which aren't spring action, that are overlaid just some skinny, like, I don't know, articulated legs underneath. But he still just looks really cool. I like him, like that head sculpt. And then here you have our Chronicles movie Ram Man, and I went ahead and left his springs up because you can see that he stands just about as tall as these other dudes if he's got his springs activated. And here is our Classics Ram Man, who is a big hulking figure. He's also one of my favorites, but Classics and Masterverse are just so different in some senses, especially when it comes to Ram Man, that he's just in a class by himself. I love these humongous arms that are on Ram Man, and just his overall look and bulk. He's just a classic. And what more can you say? But I'm really pleased with how this Ram Man came out. Let me just go ahead and take off those springs right quick so you can see the scale. And now you can see just how small this Ram Man looks when you take off the spring-loaded part, and his regular size is definitely smaller than Masterverse or Classics. And that's to be expected because this, again, is true 1/12 scale figures in the Chronicles line, which is kind of more, again, in lines with, like, you know, your Marvel Legends and figures in that, more that 6-inch ballpark, even though there are some size variants even in that line. And there are even in this line. We've seen that already. But anyway, let's go ahead and look now at our Fistos. And here is our Fistos. You have our New Eternia Fisto, who I think is really the crowning jewel of all of these. He is the coolest looking Fisto. He's big, he's bad. He comes with this head and a regular, just uncrowned, without the gray, you know, kind of bearded head that looks kind of like this one, and I couldn't find it, but I've got it around here somewhere, but it's just more of a plain head. But this is my favorite with the crown. Of course, he's got the big fist, and he's just looking so Fisto. And this guy looks very much like that as well, but you can see how small he is in comparison. Here's the first Masterverse Fisto that we ever got. He's looking very cool as well. One of my favorites. Actually has a metal fist in that first line of Masterverse figures with the Fisto. It's really cool. Not as much detail to the fist like we got over here in New Eternia, and not as much articulation, but it still swivels, and he is just really cool. And I've got reviews up on all of these guys. And then we have our Classics Fisto with his humongous fist. And this is the one that was just a chaser. He was hard to get a hold of. And he came with the garb to be able to do the 2000X looking Fisto, and kind of this is, I guess you'd say, a little bit more plain, kind of like Filmation, but not really, because we did get a Filmation Fisto as well from Classics. But this is, you know, just one of the, as you'd say, a grail piece right here. He's just really cool, which is why it surprised me that this Fisto didn't sell as well. Now, he doesn't come with that really cool anime looking sword with the fist on the end of the hilt like this Fisto did, but still, this guy is so cool. And I think that's the mistake they made. They should have packed that really cool big sword, and then people would have just fawned over this guy. And he did come with the cool hammer style, you know, neat, like, I don't know, battle hammer type thing. And he did also come with kind of a slender sword, but nothing like the cool sword that we got with our Classics Fisto. But this guy's really cool too, and he just, you know, looks like the actor, and he looks like Fisto, and that is the achievement in my opinion. But there you have it. And here is all of our Chronicles action figures so far in the good guy line. We have Fisto, we have He-Man, we have Ram-Man, we have Man-at-Arms, all from the movie, and all looking like their actors' counterparts. And I think this is a dynamic line, and I think I'm gonna fall in love with these all the more after seeing the movie. Isn't that the way it works? But here's the thing, I already love them because I love Masters of the Universe. And the fact that we're getting a movie with the respect to the fan and the lore and just the iconic nostalgia of these figures, they're giving us something that we've never had before in live action, and I'm loving it. And so here is your cast. They are so cool. The movie figures. You can see that even though I've got his knees bent just a little bit, that Ram-Man is shorter, and almost looks like that Fisto and He-Man may be close to the same height, but maybe, I don't know if it's where he's standing, because I do have him just slightly on an elevated part of my table because of the joining of the pieces there on the floor. But I think that he may just be a hair taller. But then again, He-Man's head looks a little bigger. Maybe it's just because of his, you know, thick locks. But man, I think the likeness of these figures to their actors, they do a really good job, especially at this price point. So bravo. And these are so cool. And yeah, Ram-Man does look like he's a little shorter. So we'll see if that bodes true in the movie. But they look cool. And for one more final comparison, I'll show you, here's our Club Grayskull, King Grayskull. And he's looking really good alongside of these. Maybe a little taller again than Ram-Man, but about the same height as Fisto. And then here's our Savage Crucible figures that I think look really good alongside of these as far as realism, as one option. I think they look a little bit more realistic in the face than, say, like your Mythic Legions and even most of your Marvel Legends, unless you get some movie figures from Marvel Legends. But yeah, these look really good alongside of these because they fit in with that lore and the, you know, your barbarians And so, yeah, you could definitely fit these in, I think, even better with these dudes than even some of the Masterverse figures, but that's just me. The height seems to be a little better in scale. The shape, you know, and even, like I said, the facial realism is there also. And thank you so much for joining us for this Super Dave review. It has been a lot of fun taking a look at these action figures, the movie style, alongside of He-Man from Chronicles, as well as Who-Man. And here's even one from the Frazetta Girls, which I have a custom head on him. That was the Norseman, but I've got a different head sculpt on him. And even here, he looks like he fits in good with this bunch. So, you know, there's definitely hope for Chronicles. They definitely look good, and they definitely have awesome articulation. And I think they're just going to make us appreciate the movie that much more before and after. And so looking forward to seeing you on the other side of that, hopefully soon. June 4th is coming quick. That's when I'm seeing it. Some of you may be able to see it on the 3rd, and I envy you, but our area doesn't do it on the 3rd, but we're doing it on the 4th. But we'll see you next time. Be blessed. Here's some photos in the photo gallery.